If your organization does not accurately reflect the diversity of the population, you may be searching for a way to rectify unequal outcomes. But before jumping to implement solutions, it's important to fully explore where these differences come from and what causes them. A common reaction to underrepresentation is to immediately assume the worst. You might think that your hiring processes are prejudiced, or that your work environment isn't inclusive enough. Or maybe you think the problems have deeper roots and are the result of an oppressive culture, eventually leading to unequal outcomes in the workplace. These are all plausible conclusions and could be, though are not necessarily, correct. Whether underrepresentation has its roots in discrimination or other factors needs to begin as an open question. This way, the data can be followed wherever it leads so that the problem, if there is one, has been accurately identified. But, until you understand the problem, creating solutions may do more harm than good. So, why do we have unequal outcomes within our society? Put simply, we live in a diverse and rich world made up of many different individuals with different cultures, values, life experiences, and dispositions. The beauty of freedom is that we each get to make our own decisions, within reason, and choose our own paths, within certain limits. This means that even if everyone in society had the same starting point, and there was no unfairness or prejudice, then we would still see unequal outcomes, because we do not all make the same decisions, and we do not all want the same things. Of course, we do not all begin with the same starting points, and life is not always fair. To a large degree, this is inevitable, but that doesn't mean we cannot take steps to ameliorate the suffering induced by extreme unfairness or inequality. However, it is essential that we separate out the difference between unequal outcomes that can and should be rectified, and those that are the natural result of a free choice within a free society. To help illuminate the way that these two concepts sometimes get conflated, we can look at a real-world example. The gender pay gap is held by many as an unequivocal result of sexism, and sometimes purported to show that women are paid less than men for the same work. This, however, is far from the truth. In reality, the picture is far more complex. Women in the same job, at the same level, and in the same company as men are paid almost exactly the same. The difference in income is less than 1%. So the differences in average income between men and women are the result of them doing different jobs in different sectors at different levels with different degrees of work participation. Some of these differences could be the result of discrimination or bias, but again, this is often not the case. There is a vast amount of scientific literature which shows that men and women have different vocational interests, place different levels of significance on family and work life, and have different dispositions, which are genetically grounded. All of these factors contribute to unequal outcomes. It is these differences that have led women to dominate medicine, psychology, and publishing, and men to dominate finance and STEM. Neither occupation is better or worse, they are just different. And, despite the claim that these dissimilarities are socialized, what the evidence actually shows is that they increase rather than decrease in freer societies. We should celebrate our variability rather than viewing differences as inherently suspicious. Population averages need not constrain or dictate how we perceive ourselves given our gender. Average differences between men and women tell us nothing about whether a particular man or woman is better at or more interested in STEM subjects, is more committed to family or work, or is more or less assertive. That's the beauty of variation within our species. But remember, whilst this shows that men and women, if given the freedom, will make different choices, this doesn't necessarily mean that unequal outcomes are never the result of discrimination. This has to be discovered on a case-by-case basis, but should not be presupposed. We find similar differences between other identity groups in terms of vocational interest, subjects picked at university, and interests in various sectors, which also means that we shouldn't expect to find an ethnic reflection of the population in every sector and organisation. And again, this doesn't mean we should ignore the possibility that unequal outcomes are the result of discrimination. This is one possible factor among many, and should certainly be considered, but not assumed. So when reviewing unequal outcomes as they occur in your organisation, it's important to consider all of the possible causes before you jump to any conclusions. This will ensure you'll get an accurate picture of the genuine issues you face, so you can focus all of your time and energy on the problems that truly require your attention.